I want people to remember me as someone who helped people hurt less and enjoy more. Recognize the percentage of time you spend striving for meaning. If your day is a pie chart, what percentage do you devote to striving, plotting, planning, and struggling toward a point in the future when you feel you'll be able to live your purpose? How much time exactly do you spend postponing meaning until some point in the future when you become more successful or impactful? Choose hinge on how skillfully they played the game. My grandmother still runs into Grampy's former players who, to this day, appreciate his kindness, thoughtfulness, and generosity. When Grampy was 55, he lost both of his legs to a staph infection he contracted while in the hospital for bypass surgery. He could easily have gotten bitter about the unfairness of it all, but I don't remember him ever stewing in anger or self-pity, not even after the infection spread from the first to the second leg. On a sense that even if our lives are limited by time, the memories of what we contributed to society will far outlast our own drop-in-the-bucket lifespan. It's an extension of our survival instincts, the drive to live on at all costs, even in spite of our inevitable deaths, and to aid in the progress of future generations, ensuring that they inherit a better world than the one we knew. If purpose is a gateway to happiness, and happiness is inevitably impermanent, as all feelings are, transformative, all-encompassing love was the closest thing to real magic that we can ever know in this lifetime. I thought love would one day crack open my world, shake out everything that hurt, and heal it all under the light of unconditional acceptance and affection. I didn't realize it back then, but I was fantasizing about an escape from the pain of being me, and the nearest exit I could imagine was someone, anyone else. But a lot of the people I clung to were anything but. First, I was embracing an all-or-nothing attitude. If I couldn't exercise for 2 hours a day, like I used to years ago, I didn't want to do it at all. And second, since I'm actually quite petite, albeit kind of mushy, I wasn't quite uncomfortable enough to push myself through change. Still, the point remains, it was something I said I wanted, but then I often failed to do it. Most of us can relate to wanting to change something, but then losing steam before seeing any results. To do good now? Sure, if doing good didn't have some value in itself, but it does. Doing good feels good, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. In that way, giving is, in fact, its own reward. There are a lot of things we may never understand, including whether or not what we do in this lifetime has any eternal, intrinsic value. Even if we did have answers instead of 1,000,001 debatable questions, we'd probably still find reasons to Big Five, as these are referred to: openness to experience, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and extroversion. These evolved from extensive research into personality and language. We possess all of these attributes to some degree, but we rank in different percentiles. No one is completely neurotic or, on the flip side, 100% emotionally stable. No one is a total extrovert or introvert. The newest research suggests that our personality ever new to imagine. Can changing your mind change your life? Not in and of itself, but you have to change your mind to change your choices, and that will affect your life. Challenge limiting beliefs to create change. If you suspect that your beliefs are holding you back, make a list of your "I can't change" excuses. Start with a simple question: why can't I lose weight, quit smoking, maintain a healthy relationship? Some progress, not perfection. Say goodbye to black and white thinking. It's not about making complete and major changes right now. It's about making changes that bring you closer to where you want to be. Don't berate yourself for not exercising every day this week. That will just make you feel guilty and defeated. Instead, celebrate that you exercised twice, reward those successes, and then make a commitment to do more next week. Our environment and the people around us at Mr. Waffleable. Change happens when we stop identifying with our ideas, opinions, concepts, beliefs, and judgments. By @Mullet3000. People change as soon as they try to see themselves from a different angle. By @SkaterEarth. Since the advent of the personal development industry, we've become increasingly determined to improve ourselves. In 2007, the National Post, Canada, Refer to professional safety, which means that you feel safe to explore and make mistakes without fear of repercussions. Start with the pain. What pain is this behavior causing you? Are you struggling financially because of it? Is it putting your health at risk and limiting your day-to-day joy? Enlist help to form your own insights. This also falls under the umbrella of psychological safety. It always feels a lot easier to explore new possibilities when you have the support of a friend, coach, therapist. Thoughts and conditioning. We truly need to have our own epiphanies. It doesn't matter if I tell my friend 1,000,000 times she could change her life by switching careers. She has to reach that conclusion on her own. So how do we reach these new conclusions? How can we even begin to implement change when we're not fully on board and nothing anybody else tells us can change that? How can we challenge our own resistance when our resistance is just as strong, if not stronger, than our desire? Awareness is to wait it out. No one was about to cast me to live permanently in someone else's vision. It didn't matter where I lived. It would always be a prison if I didn't learn to be part of the world. It didn't matter how much money I made. It would just buy me more pairs of high heels that looked ridiculous under my underachieving bug-infested bed. It didn't matter if I had a job I loved. It would just be a bigger distraction from the truth that I didn't love myself. Right then, in a completely just once during the day, you sit with your discomfort for 5 or 10 minutes before opening the fridge. The next day, you can build on that and slowly recondition the way you experience and deal with emotions. It's not immediate change, and this might not be the first day of a lifetime abiding by a new habit. But what's important is us starting the change from within by pushing ourselves to challenge what we think we want and need. In dealing with my resistance to exercise, I've recently been forcing a broker who told me I was lucky he spent time with me since I wasn't really a good catch. I only became strong within that environment when I realized I could work to change it. Even if it didn't change overnight, the decision to work towards something better gave me the strength to make better choices in my everyday life. We all deserve the best in life, but only we can give it to ourselves. Only we can create the visions and manifest them. Only we can set boundaries and honor them. The principal informed them that he accidentally hired them both for one job and then promptly fired Jen. She turned her life upside down to make this year-long commitment, leaving her friends and family behind. And without any warning, the dream imploded before she ever had a chance to explore it. To make matters worse, she got so sick that she had to spend a full month confined to her bed, in a foreign country, without her usual support system, and without a shred of purpose or sense of direction. Something very interesting happens in our brains when we experience change in our environment. Remember that fight or flight response I mentioned before, along with the amygdala? That same fear conditioning pushes us into panic mode when something in our environment changes. Interestingly, Buddhist monks who engage in compassion meditation are believed to regulate their amygdala. By tempering their fear response and other emotional defenses, they are best able to open their hearts. If we want to look outside ourselves, I know that I've felt my lowest and emptiest often when I was drowning in my own self-involvement, all the things I thought I needed, and my immense frustration over how unlikely it seemed that I would ever get them. Most of them weren't even slightly important in the grand scheme of things. And bemoaning how I didn't have them just distracted me from appreciating all the things I did have. Those little things Viktor Frankl dreamed about when he was pushing toward his uncertain future. Houses will come and go. Buildings will get demolished and new ones erected in their place. Roads will get resurfaced. Old neighbors will move out while new ones come in. Demographics will change. New politicians will take office, and your urban area will be gentrified, or your suburban area urbanized. Everything changes. The weather changes. The seasons change. The economy changes. Times change. Health changes. People change. Of a far greater love. But naturally, I couldn't do that. And even if I could protect him from the strongest influence in his life, I couldn't change everything else about his upbringing or environment. I couldn't change that he will be affected by the world around him, just as I was and am and just as you are. Let's face it, we don't live in a vacuum. Our environment growing up shaped who we are, and our current environment influences who we are and who we become. You can put all your energy in the refrigerator with the fruits and vegetables you most enjoy. If you're pushing yourself to pursue your dream, create a vision board and hang it somewhere you'll see it often. If you want to start meditating more often, get a really comfortable mat and make a meditation corner. Create space to be who you want to be, and you're more likely to occupy that space as that person. Change is inevitable with everything in life. People and life change all the time. The meaning of life is to evolve and connect, learn and adapt, and share it. By @Lindsay Quinn. Looking for an external meaning to life can be a lot like analyzing a painting that appears to be nothing more than mud haphazardly tossed onto a canvas. At best, it's abstract and baffling, and somehow beautiful. Even without knowing what concrete unifying purpose our collective existence has, we can find peace and empowerment in a life focused on learning. I did all I wanted, but I wouldn't be getting up for 3 minutes, and that, if I chose to, I might even enjoy it. Miraculously, it worked. I don't know that I'd ever experienced a state of calm being with so little resistance, at least not while left alone inside my own head. After class, I felt completely unburdened by my usual angst, fear, and containment. I even complimented one woman on her multicolored yoga bag. I told another woman her practice inspired that I'd made a positive choice and that, if I kept at it, I could change over time. She saw me as a complete package, the sum of my strengths and my weaknesses. I was not someone to be ashamed of. I was someone to be proud of. There was nothing wrong with me. My choices could use improvement, and I was working on that. I was not a weak person. I just gave in to weakness sometimes. I was not a bad person. I just made bad choices. Commit to comparing yourself only to former versions of you. Comparing yourself to other people is an exercise in self-torture, because you can only be you where you are at any point in time. Instead, think about how far you've come from where you were. But the point isn't to become the best version of yourself either. There is no end point you're aiming for. It's to continually grow a little every day and realize that the journey is the destination. How you feel, what you think, and how you act. The limiting belief keeps you unhappy and closed off. The other one opens you up to possibilities. Psychologists suggest that we don't hold on to a belief unless there's some type of payoff in doing it. We wouldn't willfully choose to feel trapped and unhappy. We hold on to these beliefs because they give us something we think we need. So let's say that you want to improve your financial situation, but when you were growing up, your parents always